All right. I'm here in Wellington. Hey, everyone. Scroll around, you'll see me. I'm in Wellington, New Zealand. It is a morning, it's about 11 o'clock. The tide is going out here. I'm on the south coast. You'll see a fisher guy here next to me if you scroll around. And I'm just going to take you for a little walk up and down the beach today, tell you what's been going on in my life, but also for you to check out the Insta360 X4. Shooting in 8K. If you're seeing this a little bit blurry, watch my video on the best settings for you to be watching this video so you see it in its best, in all its glory. So what you need to change on YouTube, all the settings, little things that you need to switch, and you'll be able to watch it whether you're on desktop or watching it on mobile for the best possible quality. I'll leave that link in the description and at the end of this video. All right, let's have a little bit of a walk around down the beach. The sun's about up there, so hopefully my face will be lit up a little bit as we walk down the beach. I am using the, let's talk about the equipment. I'm using the Rode Wireless Pro mic. You can see it here, just next to me with the wind muff on. So hopefully you'll get a good sound experience here. If you scroll around, there's a plane just over there, just coming in. You might be able to see it. And the stick that I'm using today is the Action Selfie stick. I tried, if you watch my Christchurch video, I tried using the shorter stick, but I saw that there was a little bit of problem with, just a tiny bit of a problem with stitching and shadows with that. So this one just, it goes out a little bit further. So hopefully we won't see quite the stitching problems that I had over there. All right, let's follow that Air New Zealand plane in. We'll go past these seagulls. And hopefully you'll be able to pick up a few nice reflections off the water here as well that I'm walking along on this beach. And maybe even pick up a little bit of tidal noise as well. Sorry, surf noise, not tidal. So yeah, South Coast of Wellington is where I live, where I moved to. I moved to Wellington in 2006 after spending my first year in New Zealand in a place called New Plymouth. About halfway up the North Island on the west coast. So this is right down the bottom of the North Island, and it is the capital city, although it is a small capital city with around about 300,000 people in the region, not even in just the city itself. The city itself is quite a lot smaller than that. I thought I'd talk a little bit about what's been going on with me over the last wee while. If you watch my channel regularly, you'll know that I've not been feeling so well recently. So I thought I'd tell you a little bit about that whilst we're walking along the beach. And you can have a scroll and a look around. What you'll see when we get a little bit further up the beach, just so you know, is you'll see a lot of dogs playing around. There's no dogs allowed on this bit of the beach. So we'll just walk along down here. We'll go past these seagulls as well that you'll see. You might be able to see them on with this 8K camera there in the distance. Just below where that plane is taking off now, you can see it going up into the sky at a pretty steep angle. Wellington's quite a windy city, but it's not too bad today. You might pick up a little bit of a breeze, but hopefully this mic and the wind muff are doing its job. Just got to switch hands because the meter-long selfie stick and the leverage of holding it at around about a 30 degree to horizontal angle can feel a little bit heavy on your wrist. Okay, so let me start the story with when I was back in the UK in April this year. You may remember that, or if you watch some videos from when I was doing the Brussels trip when I was there. You'll have seen a reframed X4 video from that trip. Well, just after I got back from the trip, I got kind of like really sick for about 4 days, like terribly sick, like really bad kind of stomach stuff. Let me just walk across this little stream here. You can see down here below me, and we'll go past these seagulls as well. Hopefully they won't have a go at me. See, I was quite sick for about 4 days, all gut stuff, like tummy stuff, not really being able to kind of like, hold everything in. So yeah, I was quite sick, feverish for about 4 days before I kind of like, oh look here, hopefully if we just go past quietly, We won't disturb them too much. You can see here on the right, between the water and me, you'll see these little seagulls sheltering in the wind here. So yeah, I kind of like got better, but there were certain things that I just couldn't stomach anymore, like yogurt and other things. And I noticed that maybe it was dairy. Maybe I've developed some kind of like secondary lactose intolerance, which is possible after you've had an infection or got sick some other kind of like way. That can happen. So I started kind of like not drinking milk. I drank like oat milk and almond milk in my coffee for a while, and switched to lactose-free milk, and that seemed to make me feel a little better. But things still weren't right. And you know, I've been to the doctor a few times over the last sort of like 2 years maybe, saying I'm just not feeling right. I'm just not feeling tired. My gut's never right. You know, to be honest, my bowel is not right. When you're kind of like my age and your bowel's not right, guys, women, if you're around my age, I'm 55 now, and your gut starts doing that kind of stuff, or even a little bit younger than me, because the age profile of people who are diagnosed with serious bowel problems, including cancer, is dropping. It's falling. So, you know, I was kind of a little bit concerned. I had the bowel cancer screening testing, and that came back okay, which was kind of reassuring, but still wasn't settling. So got a referral to go and see a gastroenterologist. And, you know, after talking to him for not very long, he said, "Do you know what? I think you might have SIBO." I was like, "SIBO? What's that?" SIBO, SIBO. And he said, "Look, I worked in kind of like, you know, had a lot of experience in this hospital in the USA, and they were kind of like specializing in treating this. SIBO stands for Small Intestine Bacterial Overgrowth, which sounds kind of like weird, right? Because you're supposed to, you know, put good bacteria into yourself with probiotics and prebiotics and yogurt and fermented food and all these things. The problem is that all those bacteria should be in your large intestine, which is kind of like, you know, the latter end of your kind of like gut and digestive tract. Small intestine bacterial overgrowth means that where there actually shouldn't be many bacteria, lots of bacteria are growing. And that kind of like underlies a lot of the problems that people have. Now, one of the big problems that I was having was bloating. So I was eating and then feeling like really horrible and disgusting. I wasn't feeling full, it was this bloated feeling. And what I noticed that once I'd taken kind of like milk out of my diet and stopped having lactose, that bloating kind of like had reduced. And this was giving him a bit of a clue as to kind of like what was going on. So for about 3 or 4 weeks, I started cutting down a whole load of kind of like food I'm not allowed to eat. Stuff that kind of ferments. And the explanation that the doctor gave me was that essentially, you know, one of the other things I told him was like, I'd have my dinner and like 2 hours later I'd be hungry again. And you know, all this had resulted in me putting on, like in the last sort of like 4 years, I've gone from kind of like a steady weight that I'd been at if I was exercising well, between sort of like 83 and 85 kilograms. I'm now up to like 95 kilograms. And I was like, yeah, I'm not happy about this. But I don't know why. I feel like I'm eating because I'm hungry all the time. And so he said one of the kind of like side effects of small intestine bacterial overgrowth, SIBO, is that you're eating food that feeds your bacteria, but you're not getting much in the nutritional benefit. So actually what you see is that even people who are eating a lot who have SIBO can actually be malnourished. They're not getting enough of that nutrition for themselves, which kind of explains why I was feeling kind of hungry, because basically the bacteria had eaten my lunch, my dinner, my breakfast and everything. Right? But it didn't explain why I was putting on this weight. And so he was saying that, you know, we don't really understand enough about it, but that kind of gut hormonal axis and bacteria, all of your microbiome that they talk about, interacts in a way such that it disturbs your hormonal balance and means that you end up putting on weight. For some people it goes the other way, they lose weight. So he said, I think it's worth investigating. Try sticking to this diet. in the meantime, and let's see where we go. So it took a while for me to get the various tests done. One of the things that I had to do was to do this breath test, which kind of, after I'd been fasting for, 16 hours, they made me drink this kind of like sweet lactulose drink. Some people do a glucose test. This one was a lactulose test, which kind of like, once you had that, they test you over the next 3 hours. They get you to breathe into this tube and they see which gases are coming out. And the gases that were coming out indicated that although I was kind of like, I had positive markers for hydrogen producing bacteria, the real thing that was noticeable that I was getting methane out of my mouth within 30 minutes of having this lactulose. And that was indicative of not only me having SIBO, although he said you're not the most positive case I've ever seen. What is noticeable is this methane, which means that I also had IMO. I'm an IMO. No, IMO, not EMO, but IMO. Intestinal Methanogenic Overgrowth. So this is different now. It's kind of like used to be kind of all classed SIBO, but this is now IMO. I have methane producing, and they're not bacteria. They're actually older organisms than bacteria. Kind of lodged, taking up residence in my small intestine and eating my lunch and just making me feel like crap. So now that we discovered this, we had to go through the second stage, which was trying to ensure that there was nothing more serious going on, that this kind of SIBO might have been masking. You'll see now that just as that aside, the beach is a little bit steeper here now, and you'll see a lot more waves coming closer to me, and we're just kind of like approaching the doggy part of the beach, so you'll see a bit of that. Here's a couple of dogs over here you can see down by the street. Yeah, so I had to go and have a colonoscopy. Now, I haven't had many procedures in my life, not many at all. I had to have a lumbar puncture once. So yeah, no, I had to have sedation and everything, and they did their thing, and they found a few things that were not serious, but they sent them off to histology. These are called polyps that are kind of like growths that they saw in my colon, and they kind of like snipped them out then, and they sent them over to the lab, and I'll find out in a couple of weeks whether there's anything more serious to worry about, but he said he didn't think there would be. I'll tell you what though, as an aside, like when you see the report and you see all these photos of your kind of insides and your gut, it's a very sobering experience. For a few days afterwards, I was very mindful about what I was putting into my body. Not that I could really put much anything at all. I felt pretty lousy the next day or so. And that's continued because now I've been prescribed these heavy-duty antibiotic combination, which I've had to pay for. They're not funded in New Zealand. Now, here's the thing. This antibiotic combination, which I can't tell you straight off top of my head, but that cost me like just over $300 here in New Zealand on a prescription, which isn't funded by the health service here. But I looked up just one of those prescriptions in the USA for one of those antibiotics. I was coming up with figures of $2,500 US. Holy heck. That really took me aback. Anyway, so I've just started this set of antibiotics, and they're not making me feel great. I felt okay yesterday. Yesterday was day 3, today's day 4. And like I feel like I've gone back to like how I was feeling on day 1, day 2. Like just not good. Can't be too far away from a toilet, if I'm honest, to make sure that I'm kind of like gonna feel all right and not get, just not be a deeply terrible experience. So this is my journey right now. I'm on day 4 of a 14-day course of these antibiotics. And then here's the kicker. I've got to go on this thing called an elemental diet. So here's the theory here, is that I'm trying to wipe out, it's not a question of good bacteria or bad bacteria, they're just in the wrong place. So these antibiotics are basically just going to not wipe them out, but lower, hopefully, the number that there are. And then what I have to do is I have to go on this thing called an elemental diet. Now, this elemental diet is basically pre-digested food in liquid form, which is going to be the entirety of my diet for 2 weeks. And that is going to be tough. Because I'm kind of like missing good food already. I'm not really allowed to eat any good food. I'm eating pretty bland, sort of like non-fibrous kind of like food. And yeah, I can't eat any kind of like cruciferous vegetables like broccoli or cauliflower or bok choy, Chinese cabbage, all this stuff like normally forms a fairly big part of my diet. I can't eat any of that. So yeah, it's a very boring diet that I have at the moment. And then I've got to go on this liquid diet essentially for like 2 weeks. So yeah, August is going to be a deeply challenging month for me. Okay, here's some dogs here now, you'll see. It's just come past me now. There's a few more up here that'll be playing around too. Can't see many in the sea today. I think it's a bit cold even for the dogs. This is actually midwinter here. This is one of the better days that we've had, and I really wanted to come out and film today because tomorrow it's going to be windy, and then I think it's going to be raining again for another sort of 5 days straight. So really yesterday and today were the windows that we had. And we had a big thing in our family today, in that our youngest daughter started school today. So kind of like wanted to get through that, have that done this morning. My wife's on standby in case things don't go well, but she was very excited about going today. She's been on lots of school visits. And so she should be okay for today, although she will be a bit tired. She was too excited really to sleep properly last night. Cute thing. So yeah, that's where I'm at the moment in my health journey. So I urge you, if you do have any issues, or if this is ringing a bell for you, maybe talk to your doctor about it. If you are kind of like in your late 40s or your 50s or older, and you are having like, you're noticing kind of like bowel changes going on for you, then go see your doctor, please. It's best to tackle these things early, even if they are uncomfortable. And yeah, having a colonoscopy is not something that I would call comfortable, but actually I don't feel a thing. It was more the prep. You have to take this prep for like a day beforehand, which basically just takes everything out of your system. So yeah, it's not particularly good, but I did get a bowel preparation score of 9, which is the max that you can get. So they could see everything, which is what you want really on something like that. You don't want them to have to, I'm not going to go to the details, but yeah, it went pretty well. Well, as well as these things can be expected. And we got to a point where we could make a treatment plan forwards. So, I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for living in a country and having access to care like that as well. So yeah, we will just have to crack on. The other thing is that they're out of stock of this elemental diet. So I'm hoping it's going to come back into stock in the next sort of like 10 days. Because if not, then I don't know what I'm going to do. The doctor says that he could prescribe something else, but it's not as good as the one that he's prescribed for me. Now, fortunately, that is funded in New Zealand, but apparently it tastes foul. It's like drinking something that tastes like gone off milk for the 2 weeks that I have to do it, which I'm just really not looking forward to. Anyway, here's the dogs. This barrel-shaped fella here in front of me carrying a stick. Probably could do a bit more running around, to be honest. And yeah, here's a plane coming in here. You'll see the runway. Just a small little propeller plane here. And I will leave it there because we're at about 19 minutes. I hope you've enjoyed having a look around Wellington South Coast with me today. This is Lyall Bay. For those of you who are in New Zealand, in Wellington, you'll probably recognize it. And for those of you who aren't, that's where I am. And that's a coffee shop that I go to normally. But today, I'm just going to head back home and go do something else instead. Cheers.